Hi there, class. You should have a worksheet that looks something like this. It's GeoGebra worksheet. We're going to use it to help us solve systems of linear equations. Okay, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but now we're going to dig in and see what we can do on GeoGebra. GeoGebra is a computer software that allows us to do some math on the computer. So this should be pretty interesting. I know you've never used it before, so this will kind of give you a step-by-step how to do these problems. The first problem here gives us two different equations. Here's one, and here's the other. We're going to graph these on GeoGebra. Okay, and then we will come back and we will sketch and work through our work. So the next thing we're going to do is open GeoGebra.
Okay, here's what GeoGebra looks like after you get it opened. If you cannot find it on your desktop, then you can go to the Start menu, which is going to be in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Okay, when you click on that, there's a little search bar, and you can type in there GeoGebra. Okay, GeoGebra, and that should search your whole computer and find GeoGebra for you. So if you can't get this pulled up, try your Start menu and try and search for GeoGebra. Okay, when you open it up, this is what it looks like. You should see some coordinate axes. We have the x-axis, we have the y-axis. Okay, if those are not showing up, then all you have to do is out here in the middle of the screen, you're going to right-click and select axes. Okay, that turns them off and turns them on. We'd like them on. The other thing we'd like to turn on through this right-click button is the grid. So right-click and choose grid, and that'll put these nice little dashed lines all over the screen. Okay, so this is just like a basic introduction to GeoGebra. We're going to try graphing some lines, and we'll just work with a couple of these tools up here. This up here, this is the toolbar. There's lots of good things that this program can do. And so we'll pick out some tools here that we will use later on. Anytime that you want to move your screen around, you click on the Move Graphics. It's the very last one, Move Graphics view, and you can drag it back and forth. If you ever need to zoom in and out, you can also do that from this location. Okay, this allows you to drag it around. Alright, the first thing we need to use is the input bar. The input bar is at the bottom of the screen. This is where you can go to input functions. So, go ahead and click in the input bar and you'll see a flashing line pop up there. And we're going to type our first function. So, just like you see on your worksheet, you're going to type 2y plus x, and that equals -2. So I typed it exactly like I saw it on the worksheet. And then you press enter. Alright, so I typed our equation down here and I press enter, and this line here popped up on our screen. Next thing I'd like you to do is click on this little move button. Okay, if a drop-down menu shows up, you can just click move like that. And we're going to select the line. You know it's selected when it's highlighted. Okay, or see how it got a little thicker? And I want you to right-click, and we're going to make it a different color. So you can go down, you right-click on the line, and go down to Object Properties. And you can go to Color, and make it any color you like. I'm feeling like making mine pink. Alright. You can also mess around with any of these other buttons up here. Style. You can make your line thicker using this toolbar here. So if you want to show up different. For other reasons we could make it dashed, but I'm just going to leave it as solid. Okay, and you can just X out. So now my line is pink and it's a little bit thicker. Alright, we're going to do the same thing with our second equation. So go ahead and go down to the input bar and click. And you're going to type -x plus 4y equals -16. And you're going to press enter, and the second line pops up. Once again, if you want to make it a different color, you can select the line. Remember, it's selected when it gets more bold, so it's selected there. It's not selected over here. So you can select it, right click, and go to Object Properties. I think I'm going to make the color of this line maybe blue. I'll make it this teal color. That looks fun. And I'm going to change the style and make it thicker again so it's easier to see. Alright, so I have these two lines. This is the equation of the first line is here in pink. The equation of the second is down here in blue. The next thing we need to figure out is we need to figure out the point of intersection. So the point of intersection of these two lines will be the solution to this system of equations. Anytime we have two equations, we call it a system of equations. And this point right here is the solution to that system. Okay, the way we find this exact point is we go to the top to our toolbar, and you're going to select the second tool over, and there's like a little arrow there that you click on. It'll drop down and you want to choose intersect because we're looking for a point where the two lines intersect. So go to the second tool over, drop down and click on intersect. What you need to do here is you need to highlight your pink line, so see how it gets bolder. Select it and do the same thing with the blue line. When it gets bolder, then you click on it. And then this nice little point A pops up right here where they intersect. Okay, we know the value for this point because it shows up in our algebra toolbar. You should see it over here. Let's say this algebra toolbar is not showing up on your screen. You're going to go to View and choose Algebra. So anytime we choose that, that makes it disappear, and then if you press it again, it makes it show back up. Alright, so we do that, and our point shows up over here. So this is the number that we'll use just in a minute for part B. And we'll also use it whenever we draw a sketch of our graph. Okay, now we're going to flip back over, and we're going to work through the rest of this problem.
Alright, so you should have graphed on GeoGebra, and we actually found the point of intersection at the same time. So the first question says, sketch a graph of the lines on the graph to the right. Okay, so sketch a graph of the lines, the graph to the right. And when I say sketch, I mean sketch. So it doesn't have to look perfect. So I'll zoom in on my graph. We found that the two lines intersect at the point 4, -3. So that's a very important point on our graph. Alright, you can look on there and kind of see where your y-intercepts are of your other graphs. The graph that has the positive slope, we graph that one first, and it crosses the y-axis at -4. So this is one of our lines. The other one crosses the y-axis at -1. So that is our other line. So once again, that is a quick sketch. And I would like you to label the point where they intersect, which is 4, -3. Alright, so we did part A. We sketched our graph. Okay, and once again, it is a sketch. It doesn't have to look perfect. The next thing we're going to do is figure out what is the point of intersection of the lines. So, the way we found this is we looked at our algebra toolbar, which was on the left, and we discovered that the point is in fact 4, -3. The reason you can't always just look right at the graph and know is because sometimes they are fractions or decimals, in which case you have to be, the software is much more precise than our guess would be. But they do intersect at 4, -3. Now we have to check to see if the point you found is a solution to this equation. Notice that this equation is our first equation that we had in our direction. So what we're going to find out is this a solution to this line. Okay, and this is something we have done before. Okay, we have determined if a point is a solution. So the way we do this is we start, and we're just going to copy 2y. I'll zoom in a little bit for you. Plus x equals -2. Now we're going to plug in our x and our y, to this equation. So we get 2 times y, which is -3, plus x, which is 4, and that's -2. And we're kind of asking, well, is it -2? Hey, we're hoping so, but we don't really know. So we get 2 times -3, which is -6. And this ends up being -2 equals -2. So we put a check mark. That means that that is a solution. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on part D, but now we have a different equation. So we're going to take this equation and write it down. Remember, if I go too fast, please pause the video, rewind, watch it twice, watch it 7 times. Doesn't matter to me, but you can pause it. So I do move a little quicker than I would in the notes, but that's because it's up to you when you want to pause the video. Okay, so this is the second line that we graphed. I've written it down there, and we're going to do the same thing where we take our x and our y and we plug them in. All right, so our x value is right up here, and that's 4. So down here we're going to have a negative, and then we're going to plug in 4 for our x. Plus, we have this 4, and we're going to plug in for our y, which is negative 3. So right where we saw y, we'll put negative 3. And equals negative 16. And this is like, does it? Well, I don't know. I guess we'll have to figure it out. So this is negative 4, and we have 4 times a negative 3. That is going to be a negative 12. And when we solve this all out, negative 4 minus 12, we get negative 16 equals negative 16. So that checks out, which is good. Now, since our point that we found for negative 3, since this point is a solution to this equation, and it's a solution to this equation, we can now say that the point for negative 3 is a solution. Oops, sorry, I'll zoom out. So the point for negative 3 is a solution to our system of equations. So the way you find the solution to a system of equations is you graph it, you look at where it intersects, okay, and then that point should be a solution to both your first equation and your second equation, in which case it is a solution to the system of equations. Alright, so you're going to finish up this worksheet. You're going to explore GeoGebra, work through all these problems just like I worked through this one. I expect to see work on parts C and D on every single one. So that means you do need to show your work. You must. Otherwise, a big check mark is just not going to do it for me. Okay, so show at least a couple steps, 2 or 3 steps, and to get your final answer. If you have any questions, you can raise your hand and we'll come around and help. I hope this video was helpful, and good luck with the rest of the assignment.